Board meeting for East Valley Institute of Technology. We'll begin our meeting tonight with Pledge of Allegiance. We asked Mr. Hobson to lead that. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we dive into the agenda tonight, I would like to take a moment and recognize our newest governing board member, Mrs. Amber McAfee, who's representing District 7. That seat's been empty for a little while. Thank you. First item on our agenda here will be the presentations and recognitions. And we'll turn that over to our staff. Whoever you've got it arranged among yourselves, we'll go that way.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, it is a pleasure every single month to recognize the quality work that's done across our organization. I say this every single month. We are fortunate to work with the students that we work with every single day, and you get an example of that once a month. So I'm grateful that we still do Students of the Month, and to start us off, I'd like to call Mr. Casaro from our Power Campus up and recognize Students of the Month from his campus. Mr. Casaro.
Good evening, Governing Board, members of the community. I'm glad to introduce and pleased to introduce our two candidates for our nominations and our selections for Students of the Month for the Power Campus. Our first Student of the Month was not able to make it tonight. She actually had a family engagement. Her niece's birthday party was tonight, so she's there. So I'm going to read, she was nominated by Miss McKinley, who is one of our medical assistant teachers over at Power, and I'm going to read what she wrote. The student's name is Kylan Papa, and she wrote, I am honored to write this nomination for the EVIT Student of the Month for Kylan Papa. Kylan is currently in the AM Medical Assisting Program. She presents herself in a positive manner and strives for excellence in all she does. She is such a pleasure to have in class. She always conducts herself professionally and is always one of the first to volunteer in class. Kylan helped set all the appointments and made sure everything ran smooth the day of the EVIT blood drive. Because of her perfect attendance and professionalism, she was picked to extern at New Direction Fertility Clinic. The students went out on Monday, March 14th and returned to class Friday the 18th. One of the providers was so impressed with Kylan that she offered her a job her first week of her externship, and she will be hired as soon as she completes her required 100 hours. Meaning her externship will turn into a paid internship. With Kylan's dedication, I am sure Kylan will continue to be successful in anything she sets out to do. I am so proud of her. Thank you for your consideration. So that was by Miss McKinley, AM.
Very good. Thank you.
Medical assisting. So our second Student of the Month comes to us from Miss Bray's nursing assistant class, and I'll let Miss Bray come up and tell you about her student.
Zoe. Okay, so this is Zoe. She's in my AM class right now. She consistently goes above and beyond. She's motivated and compassionate when it comes to the nursing curriculum, her fellow classmates, and everyone she comes in contact with. She's always smiling. She sits in the front row, always is smiling at me, giving me positive reinforcement too. She's always quick to lend a helping hand. She's a dedicated student and maintains above average grades in both the skills and the written portion of our class. After EVIT and her high school commitment, she's a caregiver for Katie Soliday. So Katie's here today, where she assists her with her basic grooming, transfers, and activities of daily living. Katie's mother, Rita, who is right back there, she contacted me in December of this year and left a voicemail that prompted me to nominate Zoe for this, because it was, I played it for her, the whole class. She wanted to let me know how impressed she was with Zoe and her professionalism in all areas of her job duties. She stated that she's kind, caring, and respectful, and is a joy to have in their homes. So that I was like a proud mom when I got that voicemail. She just completed her 40-hour clinical rotation at Mikasa Nursing Center, where she had to work really hard with some really difficult patients and residents there. While she was there, she helped meet the everyday basic needs of the residents along with the nursing assistants and the nurses. She was stated as by her clinical instructor. I didn't get to go to clinicals with her, so she had a different instructor that said she was motivated and hardworking while taking care of the residents, which was not surprising. The staff and the residents complimented her on her compassion and her care of the residents at the facility too. I'm sure Zoe will continue to succeed in her studies to become a registered nurse. She exhibits an enthusiasm for learning and demonstrates the ability to strive for excellence, whether she's in a group or an individual setting. She is positive 100% of the time, and she's been a pleasure to have in my class. So congrats, Zoe.
So Zoe, tell us a little bit about, Ms. Britt did a wonderful job describing you, but tell us a little bit about your home high school, what you plan to do upon completion of high school, how you heard about EVIT, all of that.
So first off, I'd like to say that I am super grateful to be here. I plan on going to nursing school and finishing a degree with a BSN for registered nursing, hopefully somewhere close in state, maybe ASU. And I heard about EVIT through my siblings who came here in the past, and they said it was great and amazing. They loved being here. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So I decided to try it out for myself, and I found many great opportunities that I now have.
That's great. What home high school?
Sequoia Choice.
Very good, very good. Governing board members, do you have questions for Zoe or any comments for Zoe? Do you have parents here or guardians? Anybody?
Yes, both my parents are.
So I say this all the time, that we're so proud to work with you and for you, but honestly, Mom and Dad, we know that we don't get students like her without you doing the work that you do. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to work with your daughter. It's very much appreciated.
And you made Miss Bray's heart just drop a little bit when you said ASU.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Congratulations. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Fisher, the principal of the main campus, to please come up and recognize Students of the Month from his campus.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, and thank you, school board, for this opportunity. And thank you, community members, for coming out and celebrating this with us. This is great. I'd like to start out by announcing our Student of the Month from our Construction Technologies program in the AM. However, there's an asterisk on this because we had something new happen that in the time that I've been here we haven't ever had happen. We had 3 individual instructors select this same student for Student of the Month nomination. So what I'd like to do is bring all 3 of those instructors up here so we can give you the full story about why we selected this young lady. So with that, I'd like to ask Mr. Dittmer if you could come up and talk to us. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
All right. So I like to start out by saying, first off, I don't think that Student of the Month should be given out lightly. So I look at it as a role model, someone who demonstrates leadership skills, fantastic attitude, unrelenting service to others, their community, and their program. That's the way I look at Student of the Month. So when I nominate somebody, I put those criteria to the beginning. Jillian Jacobson, she greets teachers every morning with a smile. I mean, she could have a bad day, you just don't know it, which is kind of cool. She's very polite. She's just who she is, by the way. She doesn't draw attention to herself. She's very humble. She'll be humble when she comes up here too. You'll see what I'm talking about. She's very active and she participates in class, but she goes over and beyond. She comes in early, she stays late. The instance where I had seen her, she was doing some extra work for HVAC, and she was putting in some drywall for HVAC to finish patch holes in the walls. And I asked her, I said, what are you doing after class? She says, I need the experience. That is just an amazing one from a student. She takes information like a sponge, and then she wants to use that information. If we have more spokespeople like Jillian in the construction field, it would typically take the non-traditional aspect of construction trades and completely blow it out of the water. We really need more students like this one right here. I can't say enough about Jillian, how she is really kind of the student that every instructor should have.
Next, I'd like to bring up Mr. De Leon from our HVACR program to talk about Jillian.
So I am new to this program, being the instructor for the HVAC, and in this time I've gotten to meet a lot of different people, and especially getting closer to individual students who choose to be more than just a participant in the class. So with that being said, the first time I've had an interaction with Miss Julian was when she was, as Dittmer said, in my class doing repairs that needed to be done, but were not addressed until, you know, she had the initiative to do it. Maintenance had a project, and they said, hey, I think we know somebody who might be good for this job. Mr. Rule went ahead and assigned somebody he believes is not just competent, but also skilled enough to do the job. So in that regard, every time that she was in my classroom, she was very respectful. She would call me by my last name. She would inform me the work that she has done, and by the time everything was over, she left me with a set of instructions. Air out the place because we're doing drywall. There's dust everywhere. She's got her mask on. She's operating under the safe guidelines of construction. She has been taught very well, and herself, she has applied herself in such a manner as well. She is a wonderful individual that does a fantastic job with a matching attitude. I have not had one negative experience during any time we have interacted, fixing drywall in my shop, for example. I know with continuing on the track she is currently on, she'll go as far as she pleases. And I have high hopes for you, and you 100% deserve this. Thank you.
And while Mr. Rule makes his way up here, I'd just like to point out one experience I've had with her. Anytime I've needed to bring a substitute down anywhere into the industrial trades area, Miss Jillian has always been there, and she's always been willing to take a leadership role. There's been a few instances where I had to ask members of the class, who's in charge when Mr. Rule's not here? Every single student in that classroom does this. And they point at Jillian. So, Mr. Rule, please, come on up.
I'm just bursting with pride right now. In the 4 years that I've been here, I've never had a student that I've thought so much that I had to put her in for Student of the Month. I didn't have a choice. And then when I asked the kids in the class if you could vote for one person who had to be Student of the Month here, who would it be? And I didn't even get the last word out before they all yelled Jillian. There's nothing I've ever given Jillian that she didn't jump at, whether it was dirty work, clean work, hard work, simple work, drawing something. She's done drawings for us. She's done can I stay after work, Mr. C, and clean the locker room? And it's really dirty. No, of course. Can I stay after and work on my project? Can I stay after and help him? He's not sure of what to do with his project next, and I just wanted to show him how to go about it. It's a constant thing with Jillian. I'm almost speechless. By the way, she just turned 17 yesterday, and I've worked on job sites as a superintendent with people that had nothing on this girl. She has got professionalism, enthusiasm, skill, respect, self-respect, and I just don't know what else to say. I'm just so proud that not only did the other two teachers nominate her, instructors, but that I did too, and she highly deserves this. So, thank you.
Hi, Jillian. Jillian, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thank you. I've been in the organization now 4 years, and I've never had a situation in which a student of the month had 3 different instructors come up and speak on their behalf. So this was a first for me, so thank you for that. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, maybe that they didn't share, home, high school, what you want to do after high school, how you heard about EVIT?
Let's see, I heard about EVIT because my mom told me that they had construction. She said it would be a really good opportunity for me. And she was right, I really enjoy it a lot. As far as a homeschool, I'm homeschooled. Yeah.
What do you want to do after you're done with high school?
After I'm done, I'd like to start my own handywoman business.
Very good. Very good. That's fantastic. Do you have parents here, guardians, anybody that's here?
Yes, I do.
Hi. Obviously, sir, the work that you've done with your daughter is amazing. And so as pleased as we are to have the opportunity to spend time with her, we're grateful for you to give us the opportunity to have such an amazing student on our campus. So thank you very much for that.
I think Mom's there too.
Mom, Dad, you did a good job too. I just saw Dad raise his hand. No, thank you both very much. Governing board members, questions? Any comments you'd like to make?
Well, I might add, and I might throw something in here. How long is this meeting? Jillian, this is great stuff. You know, construction, we call it construction, science, technology professions. And science is an old word that means to know, and technology is a new word that means to build. And it's exciting to see a young woman that's interested in jumping into this industry. That's the most honorable profession I know. My family had been licensed in Arizona since 1959. I grew up in the business. I didn't have the opportunity to come to EVIT. My father used to make me dig everything by hand, all of those kind of things, carry all that stuff, but it's a marvelous career that you have. When you get ready to get your handywoman business, come to the Arizona Register of Contractors, talk to our agency, and get a license so you're a properly licensed contractor. And that's awesome stuff. That's really cool stuff. I'm glad you found this. 50%, it's labor shortage, business shortage in Arizona. 50% of the population is women. All your friends, tell them to come on board, whether it's doing what you're doing or heavy equipment operators or any of those kind of things. It is a remarkable career that's unlimited earnings. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Julian, I have a question for you. What is it about this industry that speaks to you?
Kind of all of it. I love working hard. I like working with my hands. It's just kind of all of it. I love so much about it.
What is it about the EVIT program that you feel has prepared you for a career in this the most?
Mr. Rule, for sure. If I don't understand something, he'll take the time. He'll actually let me build it so I can understand it better. It helps a lot.
Wonderful. Well, we're super happy that you've chosen this program and that you are here. You represent this school very well, and we appreciate you being willing to take this name with you out into the industry because we can tell you are going to be a massive success, and we're happy for that.
That's awesome. Hey, Jillian, before, I'm going to jump in here a little bit. Speak to Joey Gornick over here before he leaves. Okay? With McCarthy Construction, they got some stuff going on, so there you go.
A few things.
Nice. Sweet.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and next for our PM Student of the Month, I'd like to bring up Mr. Brian Winstead from our Medical Assistant Program.
Hello, well, thank you for having us tonight. My student, I've been here at EVIT for 7 years, and only a few students have really caught me where I just knew they were special. Seneca over here was one of those students. Just to see not only her work ethic, her care, how she holds herself. I've not met a person that is so caring yet so professional at the same time. My dad died a couple months ago, and the fact that she made a point to go get a card with her family and bring it to me still strikes me as the character she is. I bring that up because that is who she is, and that who I've learned her to become, because I'm just so proud of what she's done while she's been at EVIT. I spoke to her first year teacher before even nominating her, and I had nothing, Miss Slade had nothing but so promising things to say and so high regard that she talked about her, and she was so excited that I was putting her in because she knew as well she deserved it. She's been a member of this community. By last year, she was named National Technical Honor Society. She was inducted by her community service, by her work, by her grades, by her attendance. This year, she's been my president. There's not a task I've given her that she hasn't completed before could even have the words, "Have you done this?" She helps me with our employability, checking our students each day, and before I even have a chance to say, "Have you gone around?" she's already done it. So that is the work ethic she brings. On Wednesday, she gets the opportunity to go to HOSA in Tucson to compete in culture and diversities in healthcare, which I'm very confident that she has an opportunity to go to international. So I also nominated her. I wanted her to run for office at HOSA, but unfortunately, she got in a great thing, unfortunately for us, but a great thing for her. She's already accepted to go to Hawaii, University of Hawaii in pre-nursing. So she starts that in the fall, so I'm excited for that journey. We found out that there's HOSA there, so I encouraged her to continue to be part of it over there. So there's so many things she's done that can't even give words to. So I'm so proud of her. One of the other things that made her special, and really the reason why I said, you know what, I need to nominate her, while all of this is happening, keeping such a great grade and a great thing here at EVIT in the medical assisting program, she's also on council for her tribe. And she's asked me a few times, can I jump on a call that I have to be on? And she did it and still holds EVIT at a very high level. And she does all that, manages that time. She's right now completing her 100 hours of externship over at Adelante Healthcare, which I think is an incredible place for her to learn from. That'll only help her in her career. I know she's going to be an outstanding nurse, and anything else she wants to do, she'll do it at a very high level. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Any more that you want to share? Your high school, what you want to do after high school, how you heard about EVIT?
Good evening. My name is Seneca Jackson. I'm a senior here at EVIT in the medical assisting program, as well as a senior at Hamilton High School. I've heard about EVIT through my friends who are older than me, but I've been on youth council with them through my tribe. She was in the massage therapy program, but I wanted to do more medical assisting hands-on. And you know, I look forward to do pre-nursing in Hawaii. I'm set to go there in the fall, and you know, I want to become an AirVac nurse, and so that's what I'm planning on doing with my education and furthering it as far as I can. So I'm very thankful for being here tonight.
Thank you. I have a question about governing board members. Anything you'd like to ask or share?
Yeah, I want to know how you picked Hawaii.
So I was accepted to 6 other colleges. All the colleges that I applied to, I was blessed and accepted to all of them. I just want to get as much experience and kind of journey off from home for a little bit to come home back to my community and help the people who are in need. So
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Do you have,
Oh,
go ahead,
the weather's not bad in Hawaii either, I hear.
Yeah. Do you have a family, parents, guardians, people here?
My parents are here.
So as is the case with the other parents, mom and dad this time, see, I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with your daughter. When I hear what she's doing with us, but what she plans to do in the future and all that she's doing in her life outside of EVIT is amazing. But clearly that is because of parenting that has grown her into that. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with your daughter. Very much appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bravo.
That's all we got.
All righty, that was excellent. we're going to continue with our board meeting. We will not be offended if you choose not to remain for the exciting remainder of our agenda.
It's super exciting.
It's probably most excitement you'll have in quite a while. So if you'd like to go ahead and join your family and
What's called board?
yes. We'll give you a moment to do that.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
It's good information. Moms and dads.
Moms and dads, dads and moms. Don't
Both
forget the
parents.
mom.
Yeah.
So,
Well, his back's to him. We're facing him. We can see.
this blonde instructor up here, does she look like Rhonda Doolin's sister?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. We do.
I think I might have had them mixed up years ago before I moved.
Good night.
So this looks like Murderer's Row back there.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Except for the one guy on the right.
All right, moving on. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of our last regular board meeting held on March 14, 2022. I'll entertain a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion to modify.
Oh,
We need a second.
We need to motion and second, and then we can discuss it.
I will second the motion.
Mr. Hobson has seconded.
So
Oh,
I remember the discussion, and I remember how this worked, but when you read the minutes, it's not absolutely clear which motion we adopted under item 8A. It makes sense that we adopted the last one, the second restated motion. So I would just move to, I would move that, to modify the minutes to reflect that the board adopted only the second restated motion under item 8A. Remember we had a motion, and then we restated motion?
That one.
The big difference is Mr. Watkins seconded the second restated, and Ms. Luke
Oh, yeah.
seconded the first two, but it is the one we adopted, the final one. But it's not clear to me that what we did was to adopt just the
Well,
last one.
we just need to clarify that. Okay, any other discussion or concerns? Okay, Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Yes. Fleetum,
Aye.
Covington,
Aye.
Hobson,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Luke? Hart?
Aye.
McAfee?
Aye.
Watkins?
Can I change my vote?
Yes.
Abstain. I have been watching the board meetings. I do want to say I've been watching the board meetings
Next time.
prior.
Okay, thank you. So, any call to the public items?
No, sir.
Dr. Wilson? Okay, brings us to personnel agenda. Would staff like to comment or anything?
No, sir.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion for the personnel agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
I will second.
Okay. Any comments or concerns? Okay, Mrs. Boggs, would you conduct the vote, please?
Yes. Fleetum,
Aye.
Covington,
Aye.
Hobson,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Luke? Aye. Hart?
Aye.
And Watkins?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
All righty, thank you. Next item is a policy update, new policy, or new exhibit to policy JHD-EB, medical certification of chronic health conditions. Mr. Kelble, would you like to comment?
Sure, Mr. Only, thank you. The old form, some of the staff that uses the old form contacted me and said, it's really kind of clumsy and doesn't really capture everything we need. They gave me a draft, we worked on it. It wasn't actually capturing all the exceptions under the statute, so we just revised it to make it more user-friendly and to actually follow the statute. And
So
it
this
doesn't
is a-
require a vote on your part because it's just an exhibit. So
This
that's
is a
just for
first
information.
read, or we don't?
No, it's, because it's an exhibit, you don't have to approve it.
Oh, okay.
So it's just for information.
Awesome. Okay, that brings us to the more exciting part of the agenda, our Power Road Campus. We have a few things there. Who's going to launch? Is it?
I'll start us
7B?
off. Mr. President, members of the governing board, if you remember, probably 2 meetings ago, we touched base a little bit on how we're trying to round out and complete the project, or at least this phase of the project out at the Power Campus. As a reminder, we have the aviation building open. Our target is to have the engineering and the vet building open in time in August, so that come the start of next school year, both of those facilities are open, and then we've done the remodeling in the existing space to expand health as well as our cosmetology. And as we've started rounding that corner towards the completion, we began the discussion with the 3 municipalities that we are working with in that project. And as a reminder, it's ASU that we partner with, it's the city of Mesa that we partner with, but the town of Gilbert also has a bit of a role in that. And the town of Gilbert has a role because it's responsible for Power Road. Mesa has a role because it's actually the developer for the roadways, and then ASU obviously because it's their land. So part of what we've been working with those three municipalities is to really understand what requirements we have in terms of the growth of students on that campus and the impact that it has on the roadways in terms of the on and off ramp of our students. It has been an exhausting process, and my hat's off to our architects and our construction general contractors, because it is not easy to work with 3 different municipalities who all seem to say one thing, no offense to anybody, say one thing today and that may change down the road. And so it's been really an intensive labor project. But the long and short of it is that in order for us to get the project completed, we need to expand Verona. And as a reminder, Verona is the road when you turn off power onto the EVIT campus. Verona is that road that you turn off onto. If any of you have been out at our Power campus, either before school starts or as soon as school gets over, you'll recognize that Verona can be a very congested area. Yes, we have a lot of buses that come out of there, but there's a lot of students also that drive themselves there. And so students trying to exit our campus or get in our campus on Verona at times is problematic. And the increase in capacity for the buildings that we're building only will make that a bigger challenge. And so the city of Mesa is requiring us to expand Verona, specifically to take what is now a 1 left turn lane onto Power Road off of Verona and make it a double turn lane off of Verona onto Power Road. And there's a cost associated with that, not only a cost associated with the expansion of the road, but also then what that does to the landscaping, what it does to the electricity, the power lines, all of that. That's only one part of the equation, though, that we have to solve. The other part of the equation is the equation that the town of Gilbert has. And the town of Gilbert that's responsible for Power Road has concern that having that many students exit off of Verona requires a needed change in one of 2 areas. Either a change at the light at Power. So as a reminder, if you've been out there, there's a stoplight that Power in Verona that gets students on and off our campus. Either that light configuration has to change and some of the turn lanes on Power Road has to expand, or if we have a second entrance exit on the campus. It's our desire to have a second entrance and exit for just a number of different reasons. We've tried to pursue a second entrance and exit in a number of different ways over the course of the past 18 months. And although this isn't the primary choice, it's still a very good solution for us. And so the town of Gilbert is agreeable that our second entrance and exit, assuming that ASU was agreeable with it, which they are, is on the southern end of our campus right off Power. So that you would have an exit and an entrance and an exit on the southern end, and then the entrance and exit on Verona. It is only a left end, a left southbound left end, and a right out,
Left in, right out.
Okay. So it's not lighted, and we're not able to get it lighted, but what it does do is it does give us another opportunity to get students off and on our campus and take the pressure off of Verona. Taking the pressure off of Verona then allows us not to have to do the work on Power Road that would have normally been required by the town of Gilbert in order to accommodate their perceived influx of students that are going to be on the Verona as students exit our campus or enter our campus. That second entrance and exit south of our facility is on our land, which is good. That's really good. But that does require there to be some modifications in some of the power and underground utilities that currently exist there. So in order to do that, then the project has to get started sooner rather than later. And why does this matter? This matters because it's good short-term, but it's also good long-term. But it also matters because we're not able to get the water meters released until those projects are underway. And we can't get, if we don't get the water meters released, then certainly we can't finish the building, nor can we get clearance to occupy the building. So there is a bit of timeliness to it. But the long-term benefit of it is that we've known all along that this is just the one of the multiple phases that we're going to have out there. So a lot of the work that we're having to do right now is coming on this project, but it's actually it's actually work that is going to need to be done or would need to be done in the future anyway. And so we're bearing the, we're brunting the cost on this project for work that we would not be doing then on future projects. So in your board backup is the change order and the price, as well as the architectural design that those folks that are super smart understand. Some of you understand them, I don't. But what I've asked is for Neil or Don to come up and do a presentation, a much more modified version, so you all can get a visual outside of those plans that kind of walks you through the word salad I just described. So, Neil?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
You cover it very well.
Yeah, I don't think I really need to talk. So thank you, Dr. Wilson, President Lane, board members. Yeah, so I just got a real brief. He basically calls our drawings the funny pages. So I'm trying to give you a little prettier pictures to look at, so if there's any questions. So this is the master plan. We did render, you can see Power Road on the left side of the sheet running north-south. North is up on the page. And then Verona Avenue is on the top of the site, and it runs east-west. So right now, currently Verona Avenue is improved on the south half street only. And so we are looking to improve it all the way down to the main entrance, as you can kind of see in that depiction there. I actually have a blow-up of that, so if we'll zoom in on Verona, you can kind of see the line weight. So we are going to have 2 left-hand turns now. Currently there's 1 left-hand turn, and it does not have that length of queuing. So that is where sometimes you see at the end of school, it takes a little bit longer for the students to make a southbound turn. So that has 2 left lanes, longer queuing, plus we also have a longer storage on the right-hand turn going north. So all that's improvement. You can also see that if you make a left on Power Road onto Verona, there's a decel lane entering into this campus now. That is to help with the traffic flow of the number of students coming in and getting them out of the main drive. So that's all the good news of all this is it's currently within the width of the sidewalk at the current intersection of Verona and Power right now. That was one of the things we pushed back in the city was they were actually asking us to improve the whole intersection. We had to kindly remind them that we already did that once for them because they did forget. And so we reminded them of that, and we also said that we need to work within the current confines of the widths of the street and say they obliged us and helped us with that motion, so that's why the width of the lanes works right now. So then the other portion of the improvement is down on Power Road. You can see if I am southbound on Power Road, which that is the left lane going south, we added a left-hand turn lane, kind of adjusted the median and added a brake into that. That is the left-hand turn lane, so now you can have stacking and queuing in there that will turn into the south entry drive. That is the same entry drive that currently resides on the campus right now. And then also the students can go right-bound up north, or they can come in on a decel lane. It's hard to see, it's kind of cut off on that bottom side, but there's a decel lane turning into the campus as well for students coming from the south side of the campus. All of this is great news for the flow of traffic for to and from campus. As Dr. Wilson mentioned, there is no traffic control here because you cannot make a left out. That only occurs down at Old Pecos right now. So those are the 2 major improvements. As Dr. Wilson said, we are kind of at the 4 corners. We have the 4 entities we're dealing with, and everybody has an opinion, and nobody wants to take responsibility.
So it has been an incredibly difficult process in many ways, and like I said, I want to give our architects and general contractors some credit because I think at the end of the day, where we started in terms of the expectation of the 3 municipalities and where we finished is significantly different. It would have been incredibly difficult if we had to expand actually power and do the work at the lights, where they were initially wanting us to do the work. And so to have the second entrance makes sense, both in terms of the schematics of the campus, but also just in terms of the scope of the work. And working again with the 3 municipalities has been very difficult. But with the change order, we can begin the process with the hope of having all completed, Verona completed before August. But what about the?
So the idea is that if we get the move forward now, Verona would be, the goal is to have it completed by the August. That is the goal. That is going to be very tough to do, I'll be honest with you. Power Road would come later. We're probably looking at that being the end of the year to have that fully complete. The difficulty is when we shut these down from a traffic control, this is your only entrance and out of the campus, so we're limiting, so we have to be very conscious about the flow of that. And that's part of our request to the city, is to work with both municipalities to work with on that. Is that fair to say, Mr. Gornick? Yeah. Okay, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
So questions? This is just a discussion item.
Yeah, so last time we talked about this being a part of a future phase. And so with this change order, are we going to be pretty much in compliance with all the phases that we have in plans at this point? Are we going to be reworking this intersection again in the near future?
Yeah, good question.
So for phase 3, this takes that into account. If I go back to the master plan, you can see phase 3 is, forgive me, my eyes are, I think it's number 13 up there, which is that large square you can see in that upper one. So that is what we're considering as phase 3. And then phase 4 would be 14, the other two on the right and the lower left there, or lower right there. That would require some additional off-site work at that time, but we're not looking at that phase for quite a few more years out. The next immediate phase is phase 3. This does take that into account. And we're hoping, just so you know, the ASU does have a master plan to fully develop all this. Of course, we've heard that before, but there is talk that they would, once they start to develop, those roads will automatically be part of their improvements. So we're hoping that the timing is better for that, for phase 4.
Now, let me clarify what I've heard. Basically, the city of Mesa is holding water meters hostage until we complete this work on to service things that have already been approved. Is that true?
So, yes, City of Mesa has only jurisdiction over the utilities to the buildings. They do not have jurisdiction over the buildings themselves. ASU gives the permit for the buildings. So yes, this is the only power play, or your words, hostage, that the city can actually do at this point, because that is the only permit they hold.
So they have a little authority and wish desperately to exercise it to our detriment.
We have exhausted most of our resources on our side. The city has been very communicative in the process, but does not seem to budge off of where their stance is. We've explained that we are, obviously EVIT is doing a lot in good faith, fully committing the site and developments and resources, and that does not seem to resonate currently with them.
I see. Well, I personally intend to shine some light in that dark corner, so.
My understanding,
I'm upset about it. Yes. It's wrong, and it's just a matter of someone at the city has a little authority wishing to exercise it, and I certainly hope the mayor and the city manager and the council don't know what's going on, but they're about to.
I think one of the challenges, and I'm not defending anybody, I think one of the challenges that they're struggling with, because we have been in contact with the mayor, and the mayor has actually been very kind in his conversation with us. I think one of the challenges is that Mesa and ASU and the town of Gilbert, as well as EVIT, are all in the same sandbox together. And consequently, the sandbox, everybody needs to be able to play well with each other, because you don't know when the next toy is going to come. And we want to make sure that we're all able to have access to that toy. And it's my understanding, and Neil, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that Mesa's area of concern is Verona. But what's the study called? The
traffic impact analysis.
So the traffic, that was different than that. The traffic impact analysis that was done would indicate that the improvements on Verona are sufficient as described. But the amount that would get dumped into power is the concern that the town of Gilbert has. And so, in theory, I suppose Mesa could give us the water meters, and we would be left to have to navigate with the town of Gilbert what would happen or not happen. But if we're all in the same sandbox together, I think there's value in times of having one municipality make sure that they're supporting another, even when it does present itself as it does to us, as a negative or a detriment to us.
Well, I agree with that, but to refuse to install meters to meet deadlines that we've already established because they've changed their mind about what we need to do. We've never had bad faith dealings with City of Mesa.
Or anybody.
Why are they doing that? Just because they can.
Possibly.
And it stinks.
My understanding is we're not actually increasing scope, we're just moving scope from phase 3, pushing it up, right?
No, it's $2.5 million they want additionally to do this.
That was not part of phase 3.
No. An extra $2.5 million right now before they'll release our water meters, and they want to see the work done before they'll turn it loose. And so that's going to delay our other work.
That's what I was just asking. Is it $2.5 million, or is it closer to 3?
It's closer to 3.
When I look down on the very bottom line, we're right, just
By the
hovering
time it's
right
all
under
done,
3.
it could be 3.5 or 4, so.
And just for clarity, Building 13 is the building we're trying to get done by, I think it's the big square on the top right-hand side. Is that Building 13?
No, so that would be phase 3, which would be if we
Okay.
went back out there again. The building that we're trying to get done by August, I can't see it. It's
Okay.
the 11 and, I think it's 11.
11, 12.
Yeah, right there. It's those two.
I see. And when you say the end of the year, you mean the end of summer?
Correct.
Okay, because we're trying to get those open so that students can receive those services beginning in August. And that's why we as a board decided to push this through. Okay,
Yeah, and you just opened up 7. 7 is the aviation.
okay.
So that's what just opened up, and I think you're actually doing the board meeting there next time, I think.
Sometime in April, correct.
Okay.
Yes, yes. The right hand is shaking the left hand, correct.
So we had original estimates on what it was going to cost to open those two buildings, and we just increased our bottom expenses by 3 million.
So when we looked at the original scope of work, I don't believe there was ever I don't think there was the belief that the amount of work that was going to be required of us is what it's turned out to be. So to answer your question, yes.
Okay.
But I don't believe at the time there was ever the thought that this would be what we were going to have to be required to do in order to get the meters and ultimately open the building.
So when we started doing this project, there was no mention of having to increase capacity on Verona or power. There was no mention of any of that when we were working with anyone to, okay. So this is all, I'm sorry?
Not when they issue the permits.
Okay.
So the city would have to issue those permits.
Had the city reviewed anything at that point? Had they already had an opportunity to bring this to our attention that they were going to require this?
So when we did initial phase aviation, there was discussion of the loads of the campus, because every new building brings new additional students to the campus. They asked us to just focus on what the initial phase was, and so that was all the focus of that TIA that you referred to. And then we said, hey, we have another one coming in, we're taking that into account. That's when they started to realize that, hey, well, we need more impact now because this is what more students are coming to the campus. So the initial understanding was we'd have very minor impact to Verona Road, and now it's blossomed up into a lot more as they've required more and more on the study. So.
Okay, so that would make logical sense. As we increase what we were doing, that would make logical sense that they would take a closer look at the impact that it was going to have to the roads.
Correct, and I think there's some logic there. The frustrating part is the communication with the other jurisdictions and how technically the impact is to the city of Mesa, but they are kind of bowing to the town of Gilbert ultimately with that impact, because it's really the town of Gilbert who's driving most of the requirements.
So I'm not sure how to ask this question, but how much are they predicting that the impact will increase? the traffic impact? What is the magic number that they are looking at that is saying?
So right now, we, at aviation and for Vet Assist, we looked about 900 more students, capacity-wise. So we had to explain to them that that's not day one, because you're going to grow into that. But from a traffic impact analysis, you have to project out the full future. It may take you 5 years to get to that number, or 3 years, whatever it is. But that's ultimately the impact you have to take into account from the TIA.
And that's strictly for the aviation program,
So
correct?
the TIA takes into account the aviation, the Vet Assist, which is 12 and 13.
Okay.
And then it also projects, we have a projection for 15 as well there at the large square.
And all of those combined, we're looking at an increase of 900 students.
No, the last projections on that, John, I think we were 900 for phase one, or for phase two.
Okay,
In that impact.
okay.
Does that make sense? Right? Yes.
So, no, it does not quite make sense yet.
Okay.
Okay, so back me through those numbers again.
Mm-hmm.
Total impact, what is the total impact that the cities, the municipalities are predicting, or that this study showed over the next however many years that it takes us to grow this program?
So I can get you a final copy so we can actually look at it. I don't want to give you false numbers and be
Okay.
inaccurate, because I know we
Okay.
took into account aviation and Vet Assist, and we had to put a projection in there for 15. I can't remember exactly what that projection is, but because some of that is forecasting that we just don't know what's going
Right.
to come in. So it's a worst case scenario.
Okay, because that is a number that I would be very curious to
Sure.
see, you know, because.
Yeah, we'll get you a copy of that traffic impact analysis, because we have the final one that the city has now. So.
Perfect, thank you.
I think one of the things that has been most frustrating to me in the process, and again, if I misspeak, Neil, then please correct me, but when you look at like Verona, and maybe it's commonplace, right? But we're using, and we're on the south side of Verona, right? But we're being
Correct,
But
yes.
we're being expected to improve the north side as well.
Correct. Typically, the north side would be responsible of the development on the north side. Currently, there's no plans for that, so there is some impact you're having to the north side, but it's also just timing of when that develops.
Right. So that's been part of my frustration, and it's a blessing and a curse, and we've talked about this before, that, you know, back in the day when we built the Power Campus, it was at the East Campus, there was this whole idea that that area out there was just gonna explode, and that ASU was gonna create this pathway for having multiple places, and it's gonna be this wonderful, and so we got in early, and that's wonderful. The challenge with that, in my opinion, is that it hasn't exploded the way that they described it that it would. And so all of these improvements that we're talking about were the front of the spear, right? And that sometimes is good, but that's sometimes really bad too, because we're paying for improvements that if that place would have been built out the way that we were hoping it would have been, others would have paid for it. But it didn't, and it's not. And so now we're in a situation where whether it's whichever municipality you want to talk to, they want to make sure it gets improved. And if there's no other tenants coming out there, then the only tenant that they have the ability to have it be improved is us. And that's frustrating. To your point, Mr. Lane, I understand your frustration. To me, that's my frustration with it, is that we're doing improvements
That are gonna benefit other people.
Correct.
And there should be some way when they do start building for us to recover some of that expense. The part that really frustrates me is not that we have to do the work so much as that the city of Mesa, in my understanding, has said they will not release the meters until we have done that work and it's finished.
So the way I understand it is that the city of Mesa, correct me if I'm wrong again, Neil, the city of Mesa has said that if we're working with the city of Mesa to agree that if we pull the permits, that they will then give us the meters.
We're in negotiations on that.
So to your
that's
point.
not the case.
Okay,
then.
that was going to be my next question.
Their
because-
stipulation is we have to be finished before they're gonna release the meters.
Except that we just learned that we're not even going to be doing Power Road until end of the school year, right? So it's impossible for us to get that finished in time to release these things to have our program start in August. So if that's the plan, we can slow our roll, because we're not going to get the release anyway if they're going to hold that.
So
As
correct me if I'm
Dave
wrong,
would-
Neil, but I
As
think.
Mr. Lane would say, hostage.
I think the city of Mesa's concern in relationship to, correct me if I'm wrong, is Verona. It's the town of Gilbert that is pushing the second entrance into to the south side or on the Power Road itself. The city of Mesa has said that they will support the town of Gilbert's position, but their issue is that they won't release the meters until we have either done the improvements at Verona, or, in theory, hopefully, once we pulled the permits and shown good faith that we're gonna do the work, we'll release the meters at that point in time so that we can finish the buildings and have them open in time for August.
Well, I've not heard the good faith part of that. I've only heard that they want to see the work completed prior to releasing the meters. And I think that's where it stands today. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's where it stands today.
That's where it stands today. So they're holding the whole thing hostage, which just kills our whole timeline, which is going to cost more money. We already have ponying up another $3 million just out of the blue. And the further we push it out, it's $1 million here, $1 million there. Pretty soon it's serious money.
Well, it's serious money as it is right now.
I was just gonna say.
What's a realistic timeline to be ready to submit for permits?
We are already in review, so we're actually in second review on Verona currently right now. So they hoping to have that expedited, so we should see that in a couple weeks.
So we're submitted.
We're submitted for Verona. Power Road is not designed yet because those stipulations have come down from the town of Gilbert on exactly what that design is for, so.
You have an estimate on how long it'll take to get those ready for?
So once we get the green light from town of Gilbert that they agreed to the current concept, the design, then it's gonna take, I would say easily a month and a half to get that fully into them, which will be beyond, obviously, the summer time.
And in your negotiations, is it both permits, or if we get the permit for Verona, we can get some water meters, make sure everything's able to open? Is that the
So
case?
that is where, back to Dr. Wilson, that's where he was leading it. Right now, it seems to be tied to Verona, because that's where City of Mesa lies. However, town of Gilbert's always lurking out there, so. But City of Mesa has control over that.
So essentially, where we really are at is the chances of us getting these buildings open in August is dependent upon the cities deciding to allow us to do that without having all of the work done.
All you need to have open currently for the buildings to open is the water meters to turn the building on.
Correct,
You have
which
enough-
is tied to Verona.
Correct, but you have enough infrastructure in place currently to handle that load of those two new buildings because at the assumed opening capacity, not at the full build-out capacity. And that's what we're reminding the city of. It's a ramp up for these projections. However, we always have to design to a worst-case scenario. So that is the good faith to say, hey, we're committed to these improvements. We've already put designs in there. You've already reviewed them. You've already commented them. Once you permit them, give us the water meter, we move on, and we'll work on Power Road and get those done. Logistically, we can't shut both sites off at the same time.
Right.
You won't be able to access the site.
Right.
So from a timing standpoint, it makes sense to stagger those two anyways.
Right. So when will we have their response on that, do you think?
So we have had multiple, I think we have another meeting scheduled, the city follow-up here next week. So we can kind of see where their stance is, because obviously we've been resubmitted for the second city submittal, and we can get a time frame on when that's gonna be done.
So around the next week or two, we should know if this plan is gonna fly or fail, essentially.
Essentially.
Okay.
Dr. Wilson,
Yes, ma'am.
what's the impact on the students if we don't open in August?
Well, the impact on the students is significant. I mean, we've been doing a good job, I think, trying to balance providing the opportunities that students deserve and need with, at the same time, trying to expand and build. And I think that we have taken that next step in terms of the renovation of the existing space in order to be in a position to give those opportunities to our students. Can we open without that? Yes, because we're running it right now. But that is not what's in the best interest of our students.
Because I know Ms. Boggs is gonna go there. It would potentially make us move students in the Cosmo program from Power to Maine because we would not have capacity. Because that capacity was increased and we are full, that enrollment is full, so it would impact students.
So that's a hardship.
I've got a question here that I've been trying to hold back, but what's the fear that if they give us the meters, what's their fear? Is it that EVIT is going to act like a rogue and do whatever we want because that's the kind of place we are? Or is it that someone is, I can say this because I'm a regulator, you know, regulators regulate. And I understand your position as a contractor, that's, you've got to follow the rules with the municipalities. But what is the fear? There's got to be some sort of fear, or it's just somebody's heels are dug in that says, this line says this, or this line says we may, and so we're going to consider may as must, because shall doesn't mean must anymore legally, in case you wanted to know. So we found that out in court the other day. So anyway,
If I were to conject on that, I would say if you look up there, there's actually multiple AHJs that we're dealing with, right?
Right.
And the one we have not talked about, much about is the top one, which is ASU. And ASU, we are actually a front for ASU right now for this master plan development out there, because we are the only thing that is going. So the ASU is the one who's been in agreeance with the city of Mesa to convey their roads to the city of Mesa once their development is done.
So it's ASU's fault that we don't get the water meters?
That is a play that the city of Mesa has on ASU to say, hey, you've been talking about this master plan for a long time, and these roads have trying to been developed, and now EVIT is really the instrument that is causing, the roads need to be developed for. So that is that play, that relationship. That's the difficulty of what we're trying to represent, so we're trying to, again, have all three of those agencies communicate. We are the vehicle for them to communicate through.
No, we're the bank account for them.
Yeah.
Does ASU expect Verona to be extended?
I would have to.
So yes, it's a great question. So if you look at this, typically when schools, we build schools, we have multiple access points, meaning we don't just want a single frontage road right now. Unfortunately, the site is being treated as a single frontage road, if you really look at it, because Verona is an extension of your campus right now, because Verona does not go to anywhere else at ASU. It does, you can zigzag through the rest of their campus, but it is an extension of basically your front drive. When ASU has full development, this will become a 3-road access point. You'll have 3 frontages. You'll have Verona Road, you'll have Edgewater that goes down where that cul-de-sac's at on the right-hand side, and then you'll have Power Road now. So it went from a singular access point to a 3-road access, which is ideal for a campus, or any kind of a high school or school campus. So that is where eventually Verona Road is going to go all the way over to Sossaman. It will parallel Old Pecos and go all the way over there. That is their master plan. This is the major entry into their future business development. Edgewater is a major north-south arterial road for them on that master plan.
That could be 20 years down the road, though.
So this is a discussion item, not an action item, and obviously the governing board has the ability to not approve it, and we'll deal with what happens there, approve it, and let us continue to work with ASU and come back to you before we do any process. I mean, as Neil said, that within the next couple of weeks, there should be a better understanding with the city of Mesa. I suspect not approving it probably doesn't give us much negotiation with the city of Mesa in good faith, but just because you approve it doesn't mean we have to necessarily begin it until we hear from the city of Mesa in terms of the actual meters, to Mr. Lane's point.
All right, let's move along to the action part of this thing. Get started. So what's before us now is a couple of action items, actually just one, is action item 8A, the Power Road improvements change order, which includes all the stuff we've been discussing. So to move forward in any capacity, we need to approve that. Otherwise, pretty much everything comes to a halt in my mind.
Mr. Lane, I want to just be clear, we're talking about Phase 2, Phase 2.3.2, Verona Way offset?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure
That
that's
would
what.
be correct. So I'll
Okay.
entertain a motion and
We're going to do, excellent.
And the motion would be to approve this proposal so that
we can move forward, yes.
we can move forward.
Yeah, we'll get it out to her.
I'd like to move that we move forward with the proposal in Phase 2.3.2 Verona Way offset.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion or comment? Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct the vote, please?
Yes. Fleetum,
Aye.
Covington,
Aye.
Hobson,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
McAfee,
Do you want me to vote or abstain? Aye.
No, you're voting.
I'm voting, good. Aye, good.
You're
Boggs.
there now.
Yes. Boggs is an aye. Luke? I know, it's rough.
a tough one.
I always have to put the kids first. You have to put the students first.
We do, but like, I feel like we're losing all kinds of negotiation power right now by voting this through, but, so
Best thing to do is what?
I will vote aye.
Hart? Aye. Watkins?
Aye.
So, can I make a statement on that? I think to Ms. Luke's point, just because the governing board voted aye doesn't necessarily require us to do that work, right? And I think at the end of the day, to Mr. Lane's point, the discussion about being held hostage is a leverage point that at the end of the day, if that's the situation, meaning it has to be completed, then we can slow our roll, because then there's no reason to do it. And we will begin working with McCarthy to reconfigure space and use, going into next year, the space that we have until we can get Mesa to a place that they want to treat us the way that we believe ourselves to expect to be
Like they
treated.
want to be treated.
And so, to your point, just because you approved it, I don't believe that there's an urgency for us to actually execute it. I think it gives us a conversation, and if the conversation isn't that, if the conversation moves from no, the work has to be completed, then before we do anything, we'll come back here and have another conversation. If it moves to, the plans are submitted for the water meters to be released, then that puts us on timeline again for an August opening.
So, Dr. Wilson, hopefully our vote gives them some sort of sense that we're not trying to job them on this thing, right?
Mr.
Get some
Chairman,
free meters.
Chairman, I may have misunderstood, but it sounded to me like what was happening was that staff in Mesa was holding this hostage to benefit the Gilbert folks. That it's really, that's really what's going on here. And what you got are professional staff winking at each other, saying, we'll help you out, and they're not treating us right. I mean, we're the only players on the scene putting real dollars into this.
I would like to comment on that, and it's a sad thing. I believe EVIT's gone through a fundamental reorganization in the last 3 to 4 years, and I can't in all fairness say that prior to that happening, that City of Mesa did not have a valid point. I hope that they can recognize we've changed a lot, but 4 years ago, yeah, they're right.
Right.
They're right. We'd have burned them.
So that's what I'll do, is I'll work with Neil and Don and our contractor to have the conversation with Mesa. And to Ms. Luke's point, if the issue is still no, the work has to be completed, then we will halt the work and come back here. If it is no, now that it's pulled the permits, then we're still in a timeline to be able to get it done by August.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, I would like to think positively that we'll be able to work through some of this. And I think it's partially a matter of someone with a little authority is really wanting to exercise it. And I'm not so sure that we shine the light of day onto that it will stand.
I know this has been an interesting conversation, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm relatively optimistic that it'll be a function of the permits being pulled, which is what releases the meters. But I've been wrong before, so time will tell.
We'll see. All right, well, let's move on. That was kind of a brain drain, but speaking of town of Queen Creek, which isn't involved in this issue, thank goodness, wants to approve a foreign trade zone, all right?
Yep.
Was that what it's called?
FTZ, yeah.
FTC. They would like for us to issue a letter of support for their FTC. Do we know if that will have a significant financial impact to us?
So,
I
Mr.
don't
President,
believe it
member-
will, but.
members of the governing board, we've done these before with different projects, and it won't have much of a financial impact on us as an institution. What it does do potentially is create the opportunity for that area to expand and grow.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Which,
The rising tide lifts all boats.
correct,
You guys are
and,
smart.
and that's the premise behind it. I know one of the concerns that we had previously is to make sure that there's value and quality that's coming out to there. And so we did have the opportunity to participate in a presentation to the agency, the organization that is interested in coming out there. And it's a really good
Really
organization.
wish we could have seen the presentation.
We
Because
actually.
again, the last time we did this, that was my issue. We didn't get to see it, we didn't get to hear about it, and we have to vote on it, and I don't like it.
So if you'll read through the book, it doesn't specifically say what company is coming, but it's a manufacturing agency.
Panasonic.
I can't speak to what it is, but.
Do you know what
I
it
do.
is?
Yeah, I do.
How do I find out what it is, since I have to vote again?
I know how it
Can
is
you share
because.
your knowledge?
Not in a public setting, no, I can't. I know what it is because we were asked to help present to the organization in terms of workforce development. And it's an agency that, an organization that you all have had conversations with before, to be truthful.
Call an executive session, that's outside of the
So
law.
can you just, in a nutshell, very
We
easily,
couldn't call it today
just
anyway.
give me the kindergarten version of what this is?
So there are different opportunities for local municipalities to provide a sense of relief to it in terms of taxes, to attract business and industry to come into that area.
Okay.
And so what this does is through a piece, I don't know if it's legislation or through an agreement through the city of Phoenix, there are different areas within the valley that can be identified as these trade zones in which the product comes in and isn't taxed right away. It's taxed upon being released. It gives a tax break incentive because we are part of the municipality that is in that zone, that services that zone. You all as the governing board have to give authorization for that to change in its taxing structure. That's what the foreign trade zone is. Oftentimes, when these agencies are seeking to come in, they don't want who they are to be made common knowledge because they may be looking at 4 or 5 different areas around the country. We have at times been asked to present, as we were in this one, to market what we do. And so I know who this agency is, and I know what the agency does, and I know it's in alignment with what we would want out of our communities in terms of the opportunity for growth. It's an agency that would provide a number of jobs and have a significant financial investment into that Queen Creek, Pinell County area. And so Queen Creek and Pinell County is asking that on behalf of the board, on the behalf of EVIT, the governing board agree to the FTZ, which would mean that you all are agreeing to the changing of what that land's collection could be for taxes. And then, but the premise is that it would actually bring more into the area because of growth and enrollment.
Got it.
Housing, infrastructure, everything that goes along with increased business.
But there is no guarantee that this particular entity will choose this area to
Correct.
come into. We are just
They won't
sweetening the
consider
pot,
it
if you
without
will,
it.
so that the municipalities can court this
Correct.
organization.
So does this deal fall through? Does this action sunset, or is it just
So
out
this
there?
action is sunset just for this project.
So if it doesn't go, it goes away?
Correct.
And it's dependent on whether or not they get from the state land trust, the 650 acres, which they may or may not get.
Correct.
If somebody else is bidding on that in the Queen Creek, Pinell County area, which is over there. Is most of this in Pinell County or most of it in Maricopa County?
It's in Pinell.
When I met with both Queen Creek and Pinell, I believe it's more largely in the Maricopa, but there's a nice sliver of it in Pinell as well.
So in other words, when it says the 650 acre parcel in Queen Creek, Pinell County, that's saying Queen Creek, Maricopa County, and then Pinell County separately, or just,
So
I'm
part-
not trying to be difficult, so.
No, I want to say that part of Queen Creek is in Pinell County. Is that possible?
It
Yeah,
is.
it's like, I don't know.
Straddles.
That straddles it. So I think it's that part of Queen Creek that dumps into Pinell County.
Okay, gotcha, okay. Okay, because in that one paragraph, that's what it says. In the other paragraph, it says Town of Queen Creek and Pinell County. And the other one, it says Queen Creek, Pinell County. So it's, okay, that's all. So.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Do we?
I didn't think we did.
Okay, we probably got out of order there then. Let's try to get back on track here. Let's have a appropriate motion in a second, and then we'll continue how we see fit at that point.
So so the motion would be that we are in support of sending a letter of support? Is that what it would be?
Yeah, a motion to support the FTZ as defined by the.
I'd like to move that we send a letter of support for the FTZ Project Alpha as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Watkins in second. Any other comments now that the horse
Yes,
has left the barn?
I have a question. Mr. Wilson, you mentioned that you were solicited to present to this entity. Who asked you to do that?
So the town of Gilbert asked us, ASU, and one other entity to present in terms of educational opportunities within the area for this industry if it were to relocate here.
So I would be remiss if I did not recognize that those happen to be the same entities that are involved in the situation we have going on with our campus and the improvements to the streets and things like that,
One
correct?
of them is, yes. One of them is.
I would be remiss if I did not identify that they would like our help in this particular instance. Am I correct in assuming that?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we all were aware that we were being asked to help on one hand and punished or held hostage, as Mr. Lane has said, on the other.
I concur.
Just wanted to draw that correlation so that we're all on the same page.
Yes.
So could we communicate that to the other parties, that we'll do this when our meters are released?
Oh, there you go. There you go. We will release this letter as soon as our buildings are open.
Happy to do this, but we're thinking about
Can we
meters
take a
all the
vote
time.
on that? Is there someone who could make a motion for that?
We're stuck on meters.
I would like to make a motion on
Perhaps
that.
we should get legal counsel before we.
Would that be appropriate?
No. I can't do it tonight.
So we can table this.
We could.
You could.
All right.
You could also say, we'll give you the letter for $3 million. Problem's out.
Oh, God, I love it.
Okay, that was jesting. That was not serious legal advice.
That might pose
But
more
I think-
problems than it
I think
solves.
Mrs. Luke's point's a great point, though. We should take advantage of our position.
Well, I don't know if that's gonna change anything. We
Yeah,
don't-
and-
We don't
and-
need to throw more mud on the wall. There's plenty stuck there already.
Yeah, I understand Ms. Luke's point, and I think that's a valid point. I think at the end of the day, though, we're not agencies like those agencies that treat others in ways that we wouldn't want to be treated. And I think at the end of the day, what is trying to be accomplished out in Queen Creek and Pinell County is good for the people of Queen Creek and Pinell County. And for us to take a position that would be contrary to that, I think is no different than us treating them the way we wouldn't want to be treated.
I would like to not be left in the dark on this again, because when did we just go through this?
About a year ago.
A year ago. And we tabled it, how many meetings? Until Queen Creek finally told us. It's ridiculous. I can't, how do we vote on something that we don't know what we're voting on? It blows my mind. I know it's gonna be good it's gonna be jobs, what jobs is it gonna bring? And why don't we get to know about it when we're gonna vote on it?
So I hear what you're saying, and I think there's two ways about it. I think that in the future, I can have all of you sign an NDA, and we can have an executive session and have the conversation that way. I think the second way about it is that there becomes a point in time in which the governing board trusts that if I sat in a presentation about the project that was being built, that I would not steer you wrong and have a facility come to our backyards that would not be good for our students.
All right. Mrs. Boggs, would you conduct the vote, please?
Fleetum?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Still like my, sorry. Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
McAfee? No. Boggs is a no. Luke?
No.
Hart?
Aye.
Watkins?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next item I'm going to introduce, and then I will not participate in the voting for obvious reasons. Approval for overnight travel for board president to attend ACTE Region 5 conference.
I think this is.
That's the conference, right? So we're just.
So we need a
approving-
motion and a second, and then you vote it. and
Okay.
I can't participate further.
So we just need a motion to approve your travel?
That's correct.
It's a consent agenda item too, isn't it?
Well, it would be, but we didn't have a consent agenda.
It says consent right there.
That is our consent agenda, so.
So we can move to approve the consent
I'll
agenda.
make a motion to Mr. Lane to go to the Region 5 conference.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, let's go
You
for
want
the
to call
vote.
for the vote? All right. Fleedum?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
McAfee?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Luke?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Watkins?
Aye.
All right, Dave, looks like you are going
To the ball.
Already paid
To
for it.
South Dakota. Going to the dance.
In Rapid City, no, no.
And
I've been there.
Going to Mount Rushmore.
in Rapid City, yeah. Hopefully I don't get in too much trouble. Okay, that moves us to our superintendent's report. Dr. Wilson.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, just three quick things for you tonight. The first is I know Ms. Boggs had the opportunity, I had the opportunity, and others did, to come Saturday and see our auto challenge. And one of the things that I had said to somebody after I left was, I think it's really easy when you're in the middle of what we do to lose sight of the good work that we do. It was humbling to be on campus Saturday and to see the auto challenge that was put together by our staff that invited literally the whole East Valley, had thousands of invitations sent out, and giving kids an opportunity to compete in an area that they have a passion in. Mr. Lane was here and had a team here, and that in of itself was incredible. But we also had our video production group that was here, and they were doing a documentary of the event and interviewing and putting it together so we can use it as a recruiting tool for future opportunities for students to participate. We had our radio here that was doing a live broadcast. We had our graphic design and photo keeping track and capturing pictures and images of the event. And so you had an opportunity to see the work that we do not only in the area of automotive, but all of our other programs interacting with one another in a way that's what we do, that's what life is, that's what the business is. And sometimes when we're talking about Verona and we're talking about all this other kind of stuff, that stuff matters. It matters a lot. I would just encourage you, and I'm going to encourage myself, to take advantage of those opportunities more, and we'll let you know when they happen, because I think seeing it and being a part of it makes you understand that we truly do change lives of our students in ways that other places can't, and it was just really an incredible experience to be a part of. Second update is our Foster Youth Initiative. I know that we have come to you a couple of different times. We're still very much in a position of being able to not only have the educational opportunity, hopefully, come the school year 24-25. We're still very much also looking forward to having the opportunity potentially to have revenue to build a facility that would house the foster youth. And again, the reason why I keep bringing this back to you is because we know statistically that the foster youth community is a community that, without there being a significant intervention in their life, they will wind up being a statistic that is a statistic that is not helping our society, and we can change their lives. And so the ability to keep leaning into looking for creative ways to find funding, to find revenue, to find programs, to find partners is really a refreshing part of being an educator, not just to do a short-term fix, but actually to look for long-term systemic solutions to issues that plague our communities. And then last but not least, our associate degree bill. It's passed the Senate Education Committee, passed the rules, passed both caucuses, and we're now sitting waiting for it to be voted out of the Senate. assuming that that successful reminder has to go back to the House to clean up some of the language, and then hopefully to the governor's office. When we sat here, what was it, a year and a half ago, we started talking about, led by Mrs. Doolin's conversation, how can we really do justice to our adult education? And we're now inching closer and closer to being able to say to a student, come to our campus and get an industry credential that gets you in the workforce, that makes a real living wage. But if by chance you want to continue in your education, you can stay with us and get an associate degree. And if you want to, potentially work towards a bachelor's degree. And I share that because, again, the bookends of the foster youth and the associate, they seem kind of like they're not connected, but they absolutely are connected. Because, again, you come on our campus, if you're a student, we will change your life. And we will change the life of those students that have been left out because of the system, because of the families they came from. We'll change the life of students that maybe never saw themselves as learners, but now see themselves as learners because of the way we've worked with them. And we'll change the life of a student that says, I want to go straight into the workforce and be a young entrepreneur and open my own business. What we do absolutely changes the lives of our students. And you as a governing board should be proud to be part of an institution or organization that does that. Many say they do, most don't. But you do, and you should be proud of that. That's it.
Dr. Wilson, can I go back to the foreign trade zones just for a second? So you had mentioned before, well, because we went through this last year and we tabled this thing 2 or 3 times, and by the time we finally approved it, it did Queen Creek no good, if I remember right. When we get to these in the future, I personally would appreciate that. I would like to know, rather than just follow blindly and put all the onus on your shoulders of you endorsing this company that none of us can know about. I don't think it's fair, honestly, for us to be asked to vote on something that we really don't know about.
And that's the area I represent, and that just, it makes me feel like I'm not being responsible as a board member. Like,
So-
that's my area, that's
Ms.
part
Boggs,
of.
Mr. Hart, you mentioned, Dr. Wilson mentioned an NDA.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to handle it. If I'm negotiating that spot, I'm not gonna let that out. Because if I let it out that, if I'm Samsung or I'm TMC and that's a spot I'm going with, the next thing I know, the next guy's bidding it, they're bidding it up. So I understand.
But we did that the last time.
But we didn't do an NDA.
But I requested that. When do I get my NDA? And here it comes again, and we still didn't get it. So I'm sorry, that bothers me. It bothers me. That's my area, that's my district. I gotta be responsible.
I don't think that this conversation is a comment on the trust or the faith that the board has in you and your integrity and your assessment of these situations, because we fully do, fully. So I don't want you to think that there's an underlying message there on any level. I think that, to Mrs. Boggs' point, it's an issue of responsibility and being a responsible voter and knowing what's in the bill before we vote for the bill, metaphorically speaking. You don't know what's there until you vote it in, and then you can read it. I think that's simply what we're trying to guard against.
Absolutely. And I think it's unfair for them to ask for you to get our endorsement on. If they want your endorsement solely, great. But to ask to us, to come in blindly and support something that we don't really know about, I don't think is right on their behalf.
And it puts you in a really bad position, and that's not okay either.
All right, calendar, next meeting, are we gonna have it here, out there? Who
So
knows?
we would ideally like to have it on the 27th, the second meeting of April.
April?
That's a little bit more
Out
out of power, yeah.
So
That's a
April
little bit,
11 here.
correct.
Okay. All righty, then, so the 27th,
I think it's the 27th.
probably the 25th.
That's a
25th.
Wednesday, the 27th is a Wednesday.
No, so that'd be
25th.
Monday, the 25th.
Okay.
So is that gonna be awards and dinners
Yeah.
and all that, or are we just gonna?
There's
have
gonna be
a meeting?
awards, and we're gonna have food trucks.
Because I'll leave the town the next day.
Food truck?
All righty, that brings us to our final item, 10B, which is adjournment. We'll do that acclamation, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, we're done.
I would like to share something with everybody now that